Hello and welcome to the program. I am Soren. In today's episode, I intend to thank all those extremely fanatical and cultist friends and members of my family insistently rejecting me and my theories without any understanding, only assuming that I believed in wicked things. Indeed, everything they, and particularly all the Jehovah's faithful cult, I made a study of everything they have opposed without knowing anything about, for they are never allowed to be curious or even think outside the square. This may be truly beneficial for those genuine seekers of truths, or those wanting to know what might exist beyond the known sciences or assumed realities. For instance, what really happens to human beings in the long run, especially after death? Is there truly such a thing as death? Is it all just imagined, assumed or deliberately desired to make the humans feel better about the loss of what really matters? Here is a program, or if you like, we may consider it as an itinerary of life, or even the life of the journey of the soul. And so we will now consider what we have so far discovered by studying and observing the information made available for the curious minds and seekers of wisdom. It would therefore be wise to consider the following pointers about observed states in this itinerary: the human consciousness, or the soul, follows. 1. The plane of physicality. 2. The intermediate state, or Hades, not considering it as hell or indeed evil world. 3. The plane of illusion, or imagined reality. 4. The plane of color. 5. The plane of flame. 6. The plane of light. 7. Out yonder. Eternity, timelessness. Between the planes in experience, there is existence in Hades, or an intermediate state, when the soul reviews his past experiences and makes his choice, deciding whether he will go up or down, advancing or going down the ladder of consciousness, or remaining within the bounds of physical third dimension. As you and I experience right now. 1. The plane of physicality consists of all experiences in the physical form, in material existence, as known to humans. These experiences are not confined to the terrestrial existence alone. There are experiences of a similar nature in numerous intergalactic and interplanetary regions. As it is known, the body vibrates, or at higher frequencies, faster or slower than the body of humans in such interstellar regions. But the term physical expresses its character and nature. 3. The plane of illusion. It is a dream period related to the incidents of existence passed on the physical plane. 4. The plane of color. Existence in this state is not governed by the senses. It is directly controlled by the mind. But it is still an existence in form, and therefore an existence in substance. We are told that it is the substance which remains a very rarefied existing in substance. That substance is therefore a very rarefied matter. Some call it an air of matter. The plane of color is within the terrestrial zone and within the corresponding interstellar zone, where in the soul previously had the experience of a physical existence. 5. The plane of pure flame. In this state, the soul becomes aware of the pattern his spirit is creating on the canvas of eternity, realizing all the emotional existence of the artwork of those souls, fed by the same spirit. In this state, the soul is said to become aware of the painting his spirit is creating on the canvas of eternity, and realizing all the emotional life of those souls fed by the same spirit. 6. The plane of pure light. Within its borders, the soul obtains an intellectual conception of all the previous existences within his group soul. Further, he realizes all the emotional life within the body of the world and earth soul. 7. Lastly, we are further told that the seventh plane is the state where the spirit and its various souls are now fused and pass into the supreme mind and the imagination of Supreme One, wherein also resides the conception of the whole of universe after universe, of all states of existence, of past, present, and future, of all that has been and all that shall be, and most certainly much more will be discovered. Herein continuous and complete consciousness, the true reality is found. The plane of illusion, the third plane, where we are now. As it was said, brevity can be the soul of wit, but it can also be a soul of error and wrong. It will therefore be necessary to create a small dictionary, perhaps. Presenting it on a few pages on that interesting topic. Let's call it the eternal life. We will need to define the multitude of the newly departed, those tumultuous waves of existence which break daily and nightly, like the tides upon our shores. Birth and death are two different words, but containing the same meaning. Sounds strange, perhaps, but that's how it is. Especially for those who lived a long while. Those words become obsolete, in which thoughts reign supreme. Herein not words, but thoughts rule. We are being informed that roughly the newly departed may be divided into three categories: spirit man, soul man, and animal man. There are also many subdivisions of these particular states of consciousness. But bear these three terms in your mind for now. For to whichever one you belong, so will your future be determined. We can classify conditions and surroundings as time goes by. Firstly, there is the existence of earthian life. Secondly, the transition period that may be classified as Hades. Thirdly, existence within an image or reflection of the earth, known to some as the summer land. But as it was preferred, we will call it an illusion land. Fourthly, all that beingness which is apparelled in form, as it is known to humans, all those lives in ever and ever finer bodies, which are connected with the physical universe. Fifthly, a mental or intellectual existence within the group soul, in which you envisage and experience, but only as an act of emotional thought. All the stages of existence that belong to those various souls, fed by the same spirit, and this has been spoken long before when it is being defined. Sixthly, the conscious existence within and without time. The measure of time being all those lives that are passed on in form. It actually embraces the existence in the most tenuous shapes or forms. It embraces the experience in the physical, whatever its character or degree. Lastly comes the seventh state, the merging of the journeying soul with its spirit. When you attain to that beatitude, as it might be said, you pass into the beyond. And this is when you truly realize the meaning of the word immortality. The physical is transcended, cast off, if you like. You enter into timelessness and become one with the idea behind all life. One with the Supreme. One with that portion of His Spirit, which has been connected with you in all planes of existence. The memory world. The earth is like a reflection in a mirror. It is real only through the image, which is cast upon the glass. The earth, therefore, depends for its recognition upon the nature of individual vision and perception. All humans who are in the physical material are unreal in appearance, so they have power to perceive only in a certain limited fashion. That strange illusion, the swiftly rotating globe. When they shuffle off the heavy corporeal body, when in a finer shape, they take flight from it, and at that stage they often do not realize the fundamental unreality of earth. They hunger for the dream which was home to them. Then these souls knock, and the door is always opened. They enter into a dream state that in its main particulars resembles the earth. But now this dream is memory, and for a time they live within it. All those activities that made up their previous life are reenacted. That is, if such is their will. They can, at any time, if they choose, escape from the coil of earth memories, from what is being termed as the swaddling clothes of the life after death. For all these souls are like the newly born, unaware of the real world, of which they are inhabitants, no more cognizant than are infants of the vast whirl of life about them, of its astonishing and intellectual activities, of its achievements. Such infant souls frequently communicate with earth when they are in a state almost akin or analogous to the earth's sleep. They will then endeavor to describe their memory world. It is almost precisely similar to the one you inhabit at this very moment. Some call this memory, memory dream, Summerland. Quite an apt term, as it was said. For the soul, freed from the limitations of the flesh, has far greater mental powers and can adapt the memory world to his taste. He or she does so unconsciously, instinctively choosing the old pleasures, but closing the door to the old pains. He lives for a while in this beatific or infantile state, but like the baby, he inhabits only a dream and has no knowledge and hardly any perception of the greater existence in which he is now planted. Of course, the hour comes when his spiritual perceptions awaken, when he seeks to escape from the memory dream, when in short, he realizes his own increased intellectual powers, and above all, his capacity for living on a finer plane of being. Then he passes from the state of illusion and enters upon an existence which few communicating intelligences have ever attempted to relay or to describe to humans. However, to those of us who have journeyed beyond the memory world, this alleged region or heaven of the departed is truly false, because it is unreal, a reflection of reflection, a tenuous dream that fades before spiritual knowledge. When the crossing of death is achieved, many are happy in that state of being, but theirs is the vegetative happiness, the unintelligent content of an infant who knows little or nothing of the world in which he or she lives. Let's talk about Hades, the real one. In our communications, we discover that Hades is a term which corresponds with the astral plane. Immediately on dissolution of the body comes a brief period of seeming disintegration, a temporary dislocation of those parts which make you one. Let's hope that we are not conjuring up unpleasant associations with Hades. Hades is a place of rest, a place of half-lights, and drowsy peace. As a man wins strength from a long, deep sleep, so can we gather that spiritual and intellectual force, which we need as we then abode in Hades. According to his nature and makeup, every traveler from the earth is affected in a different or varying manner by this place or state on the frontiers of two lives, on the borders of two worlds. Illusion. During this period, passed on the astral plane, the soul slopes the astral shape and enters into the etheric body, within which he resides as long as he chooses to dwell in illusion land. That reflection or reflections, the dream of the earth personality. Peace and content prevail so long as he remains within its borders. But in time, such peace becomes wearisome and boring, for no actual progress, either up or down, can be made in that delightful region of the dream. Picture it for a moment. You live in surroundings that resemble those you knew on earth. You are, it is true, freed from money, freed from the need to earn your daily bread. Your etheric body is nourished by light, which is not the light of the sun. It is possessed also of energy and life. It does not suffer pain, or is it subjected to struggle of any kind. It is indeed as if you lived in a pond. But soon you weary of the limitations of that calm, unruffled sheet of water, if you like. You yearn for struggle, effort, ecstasy. You long for wide horizons. The call of the road has come to you again. In short, you are anxious to make further progress, either up or down. What about animal man? If you are what I could term an animal man, in other words, if you belong to the primitive type, don't take me wrongly, you will make a corresponding choice. You will probably desire to go downwards. That is to say, you will choose to be an inhabitant of the material world, as dense as the physical body you discarded when you passed into Hades after death. Usually you return to earth. But I am told that the animal man occasionally prefers to enter a material existence on some other planet, in which matter may be even denser than any earthly substance. In our correspondences, we are also told that the human beings exist on certain planets, but their material bodies or physical bodies are subject to a different time from the Earth time and travel, therefore within the rhythm of that time. Consequently, their physical parts are either vibrating slower or faster than yours, and may not be discovered through the medium of humans' senses. We call them human beings because the conditions of their lives, construction of their physical parts, are similar to those of humans. The resting place on the road is another terminology used many decades ago. It has been stated that no progress was made in illusion land. This is, in a sense, incorrect, we have been told. No seeming progress is made. Illusion land is the dream of the Earth personality. For a short while, after his entry into that state, the soul is at peace. Warring desires are quiescent, but they wait again at the time the dream is beginning to break. In fact, when these furies are aroused, they themselves break and shatter the dream. For in illusion land, the animal man can satisfy his desire for pleasure without any difficulty, without any struggle, so swiftly. But there comes satiety through the full satisfaction of his paltry appetites. Then there arises discontent, and he longs for a new life. He is thoroughly bored by his resting place on the roadside. Thereby, progress is made inasmuch as he has come to realize the limitations of the earth dream. On the other hand, the animal man has very little awareness of the joys of the soul. Usually, at this point, when longing for a new life with all his being, he desires that it shall be one within the flesh, that it shall be another episode, passed in the grosser bodily forms. So he goes downwards. But he descends in order to rise again. His experiences in the dream of the earth, that is earth personality, rouse the higher part of the self in him. During his next incarnation, he will probably either enter into the state of the soul man, or he will at least be less of an animal and will seek an existence and follow a life of a higher order than the one he led when he previously lodged in the flesh. Summerland is then the dream of the earth personality. So it should not be regarded as either heaven, Hades, or hell, but merely is a resting place. as I said, on the roadside. When the soul dreams back and thereby summarizes the emotional and unconscious life of his earth existence. But he dreams back in order that he may be able to go forward once more on his or her journey. The prison of the senses. That's a subject. Your present surroundings are, in a sense, of your creation, is that you are mentally so unemancipated. Your nerves and senses convey to you your perception of life. If you were capable of focusing your ego or daily consciousness within your deeper mind, if, in short, you trained yourself to pass into a compound from which form, as the senses convey it, were absent, the material world would vanish. You would no longer perceive it. If you were sufficiently developed spiritually, you might be able to escape form or shape altogether, though actually this is not possible until you have had numberless further experiences. However, on higher planes of being, your intellectual power is so greatly increased that you can control shape or form. You learn how to draw life to it. As a sculptor takes up the formless clay and shapes it, so does your mind draw life and light into it and shape your own surroundings according to your own vision. In the first state, your vision is limited by your earth experiences and memories, and so you create your own version of the appearances you knew on earth. Understand, however, that in illusion land, you do not consciously create your surroundings. Through an act of thought, your emotional desires, your deeper mind manufacture these without your being actually aware of the process. For still, you are the individualized soul within the limitations of your earthly self and caught also within the fine etheric body, which now is yours. We will now stop here until we meet again next time. I wish you well and joy. Be happy. And thank you.